would I do if I knew that I could not fail?
If you had the courage right now, what would you do or manifest in your life? And welcome to Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You. My name is Wendy Capland, your host and guide into uncovering what's next for you personally and professionally. Many people reach a time in their lives when they start to ask the question, is this all there is? Is this it? Is this how my life is going to look for the rest, day in and day out? Has this ever happened to you? Are you delighted with all aspects of your personal and professional career? If you are, great. Maybe there's a way to use the gifts and talents you have in a broader and deeper way. And if you're not, if you're looking for something more, you are like many of us who realize we have more to give inside of us. Dreams we have not yet explored, life paths we have yet to follow. Life paths can be many different things, spiritual, personal, or career-related. This may be the perfect time in your life for you to take a step forward. Isn't it? Today, our guest is Johanna Lyman. Johanna is the founder of Romance Recovery, and she discovered that she has a very unusual talent.
I am a spiritual love coach and a channel. And I am the founder of Romance Recovery, which I began just at the beginning of this year. I've been a coach for several years, but I started as an abundance coach because I had been a certified financial planner. So in making that transition from the corporate world into coaching, it made a lot of sense for me to focus on people's relationships with their money.
And let me just be sure that nobody missed this. So you were a financial planner.
Yes.
And now you're a love coach.
A spiritual love
coach.
And a channel.
And a channeling from one world to that's very linear, organized, set, focused,
competitive,
lined up,
to
going into
woo-woo.
Yeah, what some people might say is a little wacky.
Yep.
You did. You left your job. You were the primary breadwinner.
Yeah, not practical.
Totally not practical. Maybe even irresponsible. And yet you might say, I couldn't help myself.
I couldn't help myself. Business Romance Recovery came about because I have been in a relationship for almost 23 years. And a couple of years ago, I left my husband and had to go on this whole soul-searching journey, which so many women in their 40s and 50s do. They wake up one day and say, as you said in the opening, is this all there is to it? There's got to be more to life than this. And I went through that process myself. And in working with my own coach, she said, wait a minute, do you have any idea how many women go through this process? And they wake up and they look at their partner and they say, ew, how did this happen? What am I doing here? And what can I do about it? And I said, and if you don't love what you're doing right now, you should just get up and leave. Stop wasting your time.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's weird. How would I do that? And
wait, so let me just highlight this for a second, because I bet there are a lot of people who don't love what they're doing right now.
Oh, tons of people.
Right?
Yeah.
Lots.
So leave now.
That's your tip.
Find your joy.
Okay.
Maybe not leave now, but start finding your joy in some way.
Yes.
So that
people in midlife re-examine everything, right? Personally and professionally. And one of the largest things personally are their relationships.
Right.
And especially with their spouse. So it doesn't look like the grass is any greener whether you're married or you're single.
No,
right?
And here's the thing, just as I mentioned that your relationship with your money is a reflection of how much you love yourself, it's even more so with your relationship with your romantic partner. So they're going to show you in your face in lots of ways that you probably don't appreciate, ways that you're not being kind to yourself, ways that you're not being loving to yourself, ways that you're not respecting yourself.
Can you give an example of what you mean by any of that?
Sure. I had sort of a litany of arguments against my husband, and one of the biggest one was that he doesn't respect me. He was kind of freaked out, honestly, as I made this huge transformation from being really successful in corporate America into becoming a channel, it freaked him out.
Yeah.
He was like, who are you and what did you do with my wife?
Yeah.
So he was very dismissive of my work, and he was sort of made fun of it and poked at it a little bit. And what he was showing me was that I was still uncomfortable with it at the time. But our biggest gifts are hidden underneath our deepest fears. Always.
Really?
Yes. To keep them safe.
Huh.
Because we believe that it's not safe to shine our light in some way, shape, or form, whether it comes out as I'm unworthy, or I'm not lovable enough, or I'm not good enough.
Can you say, like, what, if it's comfortable for you, what that was for you?
Sure, yeah.
To give an example?
I'm unworthy, I'm not lovable enough, I'm not good enough. So I didn't realize that, so I got really angry with him. You're not respecting me, and you're not respecting my work. You change the pronoun. If you think he's not respecting you, how are you not respecting yourself? And that was a huge eye-opener for me.
Johanna, a lot of people who are moving into their life's work, into their life purpose, taking a step out of what's comfortable and into something that they've dreamed of, which is what we're here to do, are scared to death.
As well they should be. But it's okay. You can still take the step.
So we're talking about channeling, and I had the great gift of having a session with you a couple of weeks ago. And one of the biggest things that stayed with me from our session was move into joy. You know, your touchstone is joy. And it's not only true for me, it's true for everybody. I mean, you said it just a minute ago. Always move towards the things that make you joyful, and look and notice where you are and see if you're enjoying what you're doing. And then you know you're on the right track and the right path. So I could say that for all of us, right?
Yes.
If we're on the right path, it feels joyful. If you're not doing what you love, and in some ways I feel like this is a privileged conversation. And what I mean by that is people who are who work in a mill, or who work at a very clerical level, or have a hard time finding work, they would say, it's not about whether I'm happy, it's whether I'm putting food on the table. It's not about, I don't know, higher good or higher power.
It's about survival.
It's survival, and I'm feeding my family. And so what do you say to those people who are searching?
First of all, those are very real and valid concerns. And there's always a way to move toward your joy. Even if you're doing it on a part-time basis or as a volunteer, even if you're just thinking about it and imagining about it and journaling about it, let it grow in your heart. That's where it all starts. And at some point, it does require a leap of faith. And it's very frightening. But I fully believe, and I believe it from the deepest part of my being because I've experienced it. When I left my job as a financial planner, I was the primary breadwinner, and I had no job. I had no formal training. I just knew that I could no longer do that because it wasn't in alignment with what I really wanted to do, what was bringing me joy. One of my favorite quotes is by Georgia O'Keeffe, and she said, "I've been absolutely terrified every day of my life, but I've never let it stop me from doing a single thing."
That is so good.
So we have this idea that we have to get rid of our fear or have it down perfect before we can put it out in the world, whatever it is for us.
Yes.
No.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't have to look that way.
Just start.
Just start.
And here's what I learned from listening to her story today. First of all, her story's a little wacky, right? We do something that's so drastic from what we're doing currently, people think we're wacky and we've got a problem, and they try to talk us out of it. So don't get talked out of it. Take one step. So can you sit back right now, right here, and think about and imagine, if you had the courage right now, what would you do or manifest in your life?
What would I do if I knew that I could not fail?